because I told him that I was doing the carnivore diet, and he was kind of almost scoffing at it.
Joel, how did you find carnivore?
Well, it's kind of been a long journey. I guess I'm going to start in 2007. It might have been 2008 now. It was when I was 48. I'm 65 now. It's been so long ago. But I'd been through doing a lot of these athlete diets because I was a self proclaimed athlete and played a lot of sports growing up. But I had become really fond of cycling. So I was mostly a mountain bike racer and a trainer for the road bike. And in 2007, 2008, I thought I was in the best shape of my life and ended up on a 70-mile bike ride and making everybody mad because I was complaining, but I was having a heart attack. And so in 2007, 2008, I had a heart attack. And what I thought, looking back, I've found that my cholesterol, total cholesterol in that was 110. And I thought that was a little bit odd. At the time, I thought it was good, because that's what you've been told all these years and whatever. And I had been on these, high carb, clean, so to speak, proteins and veggies and, whole grains and all of that stuff. But, reaching forward, you know, I had my ups and downs with weight gain. I'd have periods where I wouldn't ride quite as much, and then I would gain weight just because I wasn't, riding as much, but I was eating the same, with all the grains and all that stuff. So, step forward to 2024. My doctor tells me that I am a full blown type 2 diabetic. And so I was not completely thrown back because I was pretty overweight at the time. I was around 240 and didn't feel good, hurt. Um, I mean, just about everything hurt on me. My hands, my knees, just my neck would always hurt in the morning. Just from not sleeping well, and I've got sleep apnea and all that good stuff. So he hands me this piece of paper and he says, "Here's the American Diabetes Association diet plan." And so I started looking at it, and I thought, this, first of all, it doesn't look very appetizing, because I don't dislike eating. And thank God I do like eating because I can eat what I really like now. But it was all sweets. And it said you could drink whatever you want with this particular meal. Eat these grains, eat these carbs, drink this juice, whole, fruits and juices and all that stuff. So I said, well, surely there's something else out there. Never had heard of carnivore. I'd heard of keto. So I started looking around and ended up, just by chance, I think I ran into Dr. Ken Berry, the Proper Human Diet, YouTube. I started watching some of his, and then Sean Baker came up, you came up, Kelly Hogan came up, Jenny Middich came up, uh, Dr. Boz, Dr. Avadian, all of these people, and I was like, these people are, a lot of these people are doctors, and they're like, blowing the, pyramid right out of the water. And I said, eat butter all the time, whole butter and whole fat this and whole fat that. And so the more that I watched, I just, started thinking, well, it's maybe it's worth a try, and so in August of 2024, I had I found some stuff, and they just said, start easy, start with just burger and eggs and butter, and throw a steak in here or there or whatever. And so I started doing that. I mean, and honestly, I'm glad I watched some of the videos, because I think so. I went in, you know, head first, and haven't looked back. And I had very little problems, but I think the reason that I was able to um, go forward without a whole lot of problems was I listened to the part about hydrating with electrolytes. And so, I started out buying the Element product, and then found out that you could make your own. So I make my own now, and I use Himalayan salt. I don't use the Redmonds. I haven't tried to buy it yet. Just seemed like there's not that much difference between regular Himalayan salt and the Redmonds real salt. I mean, if someone tells me different, I'll certainly change it. But I put the Himalayan salt, fine salt, and then I use the potassium and magnesium, and it's basically the raw element recipe. So I use that quite a bit. But through all of that, I started in between blood tests. So I was, I didn't get the full 90 days. You're supposed to have a full 90 days, from what I understand, to get the A1C correct or whatever. But I went from a 7.1 A1C down to a 5.8 in less than 90 days. Um, I have lost about 40 pounds. Um, all my blood work now, my cholesterol went up, which, we all expect that to happen, I think. But I think, as us as carnivores, have realized that you have to have cholesterol in order for the brain to function, before for your testosterone to stay at a proper level, which I thought was kind of odd, because I've been taking testosterone shots, and I was taking them once every 2 weeks, and they were through the roof. So I think my total testosterone, when I started, before I went on carnivore and before I knew I had type 2 diabetes, was like 25, and then it went, in this last test that I did in November, it went to 1276. So he dropped me back to once a month. So I am still taking the testosterone shots. So I'm anxious to see. I'm due a blood test as this month. I've been out of town, so I haven't been able to go get the blood test done. So I'm anxious to see, where my A1C is, where my cholesterol readings are. I think I'm not as familiar with all of these numbers as I should be, but the ratio, the cholesterol HDLC ratio is 3.7. They didn't do it on the test previous. No, they did. It was a 2.2. Okay, but I think a 3.7 is still very, very good. It's supposed to be less than 5, I think.
So that's the relation that's the ratio to triglycerides.
I think it's the ratio of the all the cholesterols, including the triglycerides.
I
Yes.
see. Oh,
So
it's everything.
Yeah. So, they put a ratio together, and supposedly that's still really good. My, but the thing is, my total cholesterol is still only 180 on the latest test. So, when they look at it, and that's what's kind of crazy. You know, when I went to see my cardiologist was, "Oh, your cholesterol is extremely high, you carnivore." Because I told him that I was doing the carnivore diet, and he was kind of almost scoffing at it. But he goes, "We need to get your cholesterol down," and I said, "I really don't want to." And he basically begged me to double my cholesterol med. So I got the prescription, but I haven't started taking that double med. So I wanted to continue taking the lower dose because I got on a Monday Night Live with Dr. Barry, and he was able to answer a question. He said, "No, don't." And I told him that I'd had a heart attack previously, and I think that is a correct protocol, is for you to be on some type of statin if you've had a heart attack, supposedly. So, but I've pretty much stopped taking all my other vitamins. Um, I I take what is it, a daily mineral, in a liquid form, kind of like the Redmonds, or Keto Chow. I don't know if you're familiar with that brand. And then I take a little bit of a magnesium, and the basic, and a little iodine. I do take a couple of drops of the 2% Lugol's iodine. But I mean, the crazy thing is, I could not do that. I could not snap my fingers because my hands hurt so bad, and my knees were hurting. And I'm doing push-ups now because my joints were hurting so bad. I couldn't, put pressure on my hands. And I'm doing push-ups. I'm watched a few Sean O'Mara videos, so I've started sprinting. It still feels funny because it's been so long since I've sprinted that. So I'm sprinting on the treadmill. I'm not doing it on the road just yet. But so just crazy stuff like that. When I get out of bed in the morning, I walk to wherever I want to go instead of cracking and creaking and groaning the whole time. And so I'm in Michigan right now, and I go back and forth between Michigan and Florida. Um, and so I call him my son-in-law. It's my significant other's son, but he likes to ice fish. And so we've been walking out on what is called Saginaw Bay, about a mile and a half. And if you've walked through snow and ice and dragging an ice fishing sled, it's pretty good work. And I'm trudging through that like nobody's business. And the young guy is breathing hard, and I'm still ready to go. So it's kind of amazing that I'm able to eat as much meat, and I eat. I mean, I drink coffee in the mornings. I drink it for a pretty good while, actually, because I'm retired, and I just like to get up and do my own thing. So, but I put butter and Himalayan salt in my coffee. I do use a little full fat, heavy whipping cream in my coffee. That's probably my indulgence, is the whipping cream. Um, but I'm pretty amazed, and my girlfriend's really amazed, that she goes, "I just don't see how you eat just meat." But I said, I remember the first week there were times where it got a little bit tough to eat all that much meat. partly because all the chewing, especially when you eat a steak, my teeth got a little sore in the very beginning, and so that, but after that, it was, and I've had very, very little, if any, stomach problems. I don't have gout. I don't have scurvy. The first thing I talked to my sister about it, she goes, "Oh, you're going to have scurvy, and you're going to get gout, and I mean, all the stuff that everybody reads and believes." And I feel very much like I was, all my life, because the food pyramid was basically started in when I was born, and it's been pushed throughout my whole life. And so I feel like that, unfortunately, big pharma and big food don't have anybody's interest at heart, other than the stockholders. I mean, it's all about stockholders. And that sounds, a conspiracy theorist and all that stuff. But I mean, when you watch these videos and you see that these people are being healed from autoimmune diseases and arthritis, and I'm hoping that my heart disease is getting better, is what my hope is, and
I don't think you sound like a conspiracy theorist. So you're just saying about the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry what is a normal factual thing about any other industry. It's just that when we talk about big pharma or big food, we feel like, oh, it makes us a conspiracy theorist if we
yeah,
say the facts, and it's like, well, it makes no sense. Any other industry, if you said, if you give your customers a complete solution so they never have to come back and see you again, you're going to do
right,
yourself out of business. But
right.
then when we apply it, for some reason, when we apply it to big pharma or big food, that makes us a conspiracy theorist. It makes no sense.
I'm just kind of blown away at, I mean, there's a lot of, all this political unrest and everything. It's all just crazy right now throughout the whole world. And it's just, you know, uh, but so I don't want to sound like all of that, but it's seemingly very true with big pharma and big food. I mean, we're just pawns and puppets in a big experiment, is what I feel like. And so I'm happy that I've found, this. And I think I'm almost at 6 months. I'm at day 180 or 81 or something like that. So I'm
Nice.
pretty excited about that. Yeah, let's see here.
So, um, let me ask, how are you eating day to day? Like, how many meals are you eating, and what's on the
Um,
menu?
tip Typically, I don't eat more than 2 meals a day. Um, Lately, I've been eating, uh, sometimes just one meal a day. I've done a couple of 24-hour fasts, and that's something that I was I was one of those hangry people. I would get angry when I got hungry, and I think because of the satiety that I am, it's because I'm eating. Like today, I didn't eat until 2 o'clock my time, and I had, now, mind you, I had to get my girlfriend to the airport, and for whatever reason, she had to be there at 4:30 in the morning. But for whatever reason, I woke up at 1:30 and just didn't go back to sleep. So I've been up for a long time, but I didn't eat until 2 o'clock. But I had probably 10 or 11 ounces of pork tenderloin. I had about 6 pieces of bacon, and I had 4 fried eggs in bacon grease. So And I feel, uh, and I have a pound of ground beef waiting on me if I want to cook that up, if I feel like eating here in a little while. But I'm trying to not eat after dark. I think that's, from what I understand, that's a better way to go, is to eat during daylight hours. And if I can, I must say that a lot of people, look at me, and it's hard to eat out too. If you go out to eat, it's either you just eat a burger without anything, or you talk to people. I have a couple of places that we go to kind of regular, and one place actually put my name on the menu, and it's three half-pound burger patties with cheese and bacon on them. So they stack it up, put cheese on it, put bacon on it, and that's the Joel dish. Is what it is. They have meat in the menu. So if you can find, and they don't, and they do it kind of, very liberally as far as cost. They don't, charge you for the whole meal. They just charge you for the patty and the cheese, and so that works out pretty nice when you can find places like that. But you know, yeah. So people, it's going to be a long haul to get people to say, "Hey, let me try that,"
Well,
and
what kind of reaction have you had to it from family and friends?
well, like I said, my sister, she had that, well, we'll see, kind of thing. And my girlfriend is just like, there is no way I can do that. She goes, she's as supportive as she can be. Um, I think she gets frustrated because she thinks that I'm not going to be able to find something to eat if we go out to eat or whatever. And so I said, don't, just don't even worry about me. And then, I'll cook a steak, and she'll go, well, what am I going to eat? And I go, I can cook you a steak. Or we can have whatever, and I'll cook her veggies or whatever if she wants that. But I mean, I've had sweets the whole time around me, and I've been, you know, we have grandchildren, and of course, we keep sweets for them, and because they're young, they're 5.5 down to 3, and so you kind of have to have that stuff around. So I have to be strong and deal with that. But I mean, I have the son-in-law. He listens to his nurse buddy, and his nurse buddy says he needs to not eat as much bacon, and his cholesterol is just, he's going to have problems. And he says that. But then the other day he said, he goes, I want to buy like a half a cow and just eat meat. And I said, okay, well, let's do it, and that's another thing that I'm doing. I'm trying to buy large cuts of meat and cut it myself, and that saves. And we have Costco and Sam's nearby here. I'm sure are aware of what those guys are. But and then, I try to, if we go to the regular grocery store, I look for, sales and stuff like that. But I try to always keep bacon in there, and I always keep eggs. I haven't had any problems getting eggs, fortunately. And one of the daughters actually has chickens, and she brings eggs when she comes up. So it's not all the time, but it is. We got a dozen eggs from her yesterday, as a matter of fact. So that's kind of cool. And so
Oh,
those are
nice.
basically pastured eggs, and I eat pastured butter. And I try to eat, if I eat hot dogs or something like that, I'll buy, the cleanest hot dogs and all that stuff that I can. And I'm starting to try carnivore breads and stuff like that. I've made uh, a couple of loaves of I think it was cottage cheese and pork panko and eggs, and it turns out to be um, a beautiful loaf of bread. I don't know if you've ever tried that or not, but it's pretty good. So
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that can't try that stuff because if it remotely resembles what I used to eat, there'll be
yeah,
2 minutes before I'm back to what I used to eat.
gotcha.
Yeah. So just back on when you talked about the heart attack. So just to clarify, following the heart attack, did you have some stents and like you're still on a low dose statin now? Yeah.
I am still on a low dose statin. The crazy thing is they had me on blood pressure medicine, and I would get positional vertigo, and so I'm on a super low dose of that. Now my cardiologist here, he raised that last year, and I want to take that back down too. But I uh, they did so that when I had my heart attack, they could not figure out why I had my heart attack. They said, so my triglycerides were in the 70s then. You know, like I told you, my total cholesterol was 110. Blood pressure was good. I mean, I was a fit athlete at the time. They did a test. They called it a Berkeley test. They sent my blood to University of California, Berkeley, and what it is a density test. And so when they did say when that came back, it showed that my cholesterol uh, was more dense. They brought out a jar of cotton balls and a jar of marbles, and they said your cholesterol more resembles the marbles. And I actually had the stent was put in what is called a ramus, and with the way that was explained to me was that was an extra vein anyway. Even though it was an extra vein, it was still uh, it was in a strange position, so it was in a kinked area, so to speak. And they said that because of that, that was a gathering spot for the cholesterol to gather, and that's why I had the heart attack. Um, so, but they got my HDL down to like zero. I mean, at one point, when they were trying to figure, when they were practicing on me, so to speak, to get me better, I think my total cholesterol got down to 75, and my LDL was 75, and my HDL was zero at one point. And so they worked that out. But you know, the the crazy thing is all through the years, about every 2 years, I get a stress test, and my stress tests have always been really good. Uh, when COVID came around, I got COVID pretty early. Now I never got any shots. My doctor told me, he said, you got the best immunization you can get because you got COVID. And so I never did. I'm glad I didn't. But a year after that, after having like 12 or 14 years worth of clean uh, stress test, I ended up with about an 85% blockage in my LAD, which is the Widowmaker. So why is that? Is that I know that there's been some neurologic studies and some cardiac studies that have shown incidents of neurologic and cardiac events because of COVID. So I do have two stents at this point, but I mean, I could tell that I didn't feel good when I got that second stent, and it was kind of came on pretty quick too. So I'm just wondering, if that had part of it, is that part of it too? So but I mean, I feel better than I've ever felt, or I've felt since I was in my 20s, probably. Um, you know, Am I as good as I was in my 20s? Probably not, but I feel I have much more stamina. My sleep is, I think, is better quality. I mean, obviously it's an affect from losing weight too, but at the same time, I have lost about 7 inches in my midsection. And so that's something that I've never gotten rid of on any of the other eating plans that I was doing, and getting rid of the visceral fat. And I think that's the big deal, is getting rid of the visceral fat that I had. And I'm pretty soon I'm going to have to buy new pants. I'm in my last belt notch now. I started out at the very first belt notch when I started the carnivore diet, and now I'm down to the last belt notch, and there's 7 notches on that, and that's at least an inch. So it might be even more than that. So pretty amazing turnaround in less than 6 months. And I've never lost weight that quick before either. It's always been a real roller coaster. Now, right at this point, I'm kind of at a little bit of a lull, because I don't think I'm eating as much as I was in the beginning. And I perhaps maybe need to start eating a little bit more. Maybe I should eat 2 meals a day, no matter what, just to try it and see. But I would like to get on down into the like 170s, 175. I'm like 190 right now, so I would like to lose another 15 or so pounds. Because honestly, I'm still considered overweight at 190, 192.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 and 6'1", somewhere in that neighborhood. So yeah, it's just kind of it's all still very odd, because I feel like I'm being naughty because of the way we've been taught all of these years. And but it's certainly working for me, and
Yeah.
and it's obviously working for you, and it's working for, I think more than thousands of people. I think there's more people that are probably staying between the sheets because they're afraid to come out, because they think they're going to be lined up at the shooting squad or something. So, but
Right.
I, I believe there's a wave of people starting to get on the carnivore diet. I mean, I'm not seeing it where I'm at, but I think just most Americans are so unhealthy anyway. It's just it's kind of
Right.
a sad state of affairs. So
Yeah. So if one of those people came to you and said, "Look, Joel, you're doing really well. Tell me what to do to get started with carnivore," what advice would you give them to maximize their chances of success?
I take that back. I did tell somebody when I was in Florida, and I need to check in on him to see if he started it. I told him the main thing to do is uh, I would watch some videos of some of these YouTube people like yourself, and Dr. Barry, and Dr. Obadian. And I said, but first and foremost, I would I would make sure that I was doing electrolytes a week or two before I started. And I said, I think that's why, for me, I think that's why I was successful, because I was drinking the electrolytes religiously. I started in the morning and I drank it throughout the whole day. And if you have a small craving of any kind whatsoever, the salty water, electrolyte water, would help stave off that until your next meal or whatever. So I think that's pretty key. because a lot of people talk about having the keto flu and all that stuff. And I don't know if you experienced it or not. And I think it helped to stave off a lot of those stomach issues that a lot of people get. Maybe I'm just lucky. Maybe it just worked that way for me. But like I said, I went in whole hog, head first, and and I am an absolute, sweetaholic. I mean, I love all kinds of sweets. It doesn't matter if it's regular candy or chocolate or cake or pie, whatever. I've always loved the sweets. So for me to be able to push through that in such a in such short order, I feel if I can do it, anybody can, because I am definitely a recovering carbaholic. you know so in sweets especially, so
Mm.
if I, before, if I always had to have sweets after my meal, some type of sweets. So yeah, so I think the electrolyte drinking is key, and load up on that a week or so before you really start. And if you can, just go cold turkey. And I think if you can, the sooner you can push the demons back, the better off you're going to be.
So Joel, if people want to reach out to you, do you have any social media or any way of getting in contact?
I only have email. I mean, I'd be happy to share my email with you. It's jdickeyjr@me.com. You have it. You can, if they reach out to you or whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm in central Michigan right now, United States, and I'm also in the panhandle of Florida, up on the west, very, very west side of Florida, part of the time too. So that's where I was born and raised, but my significant other is from Michigan, and we have a business up here as well as grandbabies and all that. Just glad to be on. I'm glad to be able to. It helps me to be able to validate, so to speak, what I'm doing. To be able to talk about it. I'm not going to say that I'm don't struggle with other people not accepting it and all that stuff, because I don't really have a support mechanism that I think of as a support mechanism. Like, my support mechanism is you guys, and I appreciate you guys, being out there doing it.
So I'll link to your email in the show notes.
Okay.
Joel, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Yep.